control influence. All the other guns, they're just having a good time. They're not smoking, they're not drinking. And then that gun walks in and it's come on, all the cool guns are doing it. Now, we went into Iraq because we didn't want the smoking gun to be in the form of a mushroom cloud. What was this gun smoking?
The conservative watchdog group Judicial Watch obtained internal White House emails that it claims reveal more about the effort to get then UN Ambassador Susan Rice to assert on the Sunday morning talk shows that the attack on the U.S. consulate was a result of a demonstration over an internet video and not a failure of administration policy.
Huh. Man, that is different. The White House had said they had very little to do with changing the talking points. Well, now it looks like this Ben Rhodes, a White House National Security and Communications aide, did add to these talking points, emphasizing that the protests surrounding the Benghazi violence were not coordinated by terrorists, but were instead somehow related to a provocative anti-Muslim video that had caused demonstrations in other countries. By the way, that video, Snow Dogs. It really is a terrible, terrible video. Well, I will say this. From that email, it sounds like the White House... Well done. The White House had politics and elections on their mind when they sent Susan Rice to the Sunday shows. It's deplorable. I'm not sure what it means in terms of fixing the initial problems of inadequate communication and protection that caused the tragedy, but okay. Good find. Moving on. All right, let's go.
Where is the outrage over those 4 dead Americans?
Wait, what now?
We now know that the White House had a conspiracy where essentially what they were trying to do was change the story.
Will the mainstream media even pay attention?
The mainstream media is giving President Obama a pass on Benghazi.
Where was that outrage? The president and the White House created a political agenda.
Where's the media outrage?
They knew it was a terrorist attack from the get-go.
Nobody seems to care.
Fox News is the only one who has stayed on this story, who has not let go of it.
Where's the outrage there?
Okay, I think I see the problem. You think people's failure to match your level of outrage is based on ignorance. That after nearly 100 network news stories, hundreds of cable news stories about Benghazi, 13 congressional hearings, 50 further congressional briefings, and 25,000 pages of official findings concerning what happened in Benghazi, that if we all only knew about it, we would care. You know, there are very few things we've heard more about in the past year and a half. The only thing we've heard more about in the past year and a half may be the Kardashians, and there is no dispute that this situation was spawned by the release of a video. I don't think there's any question about that. I think I see the problem. Here's your problem. You're asking people to get outraged about an intelligence failure that tragically led to some Americans losing their lives.
Now, what you have to keep in mind, since you're not seeing the video here, is that he's holding up a sign, or there's a sign behind him that says 9/11, essentially. So think about that for a minute. 4 people, intelligence failure. 3,000, intelligence failure. And he's actually got the memo up that warns Bush that bin Laden was determined to strike inside the United States. So there is that. Let's keep it going.
And then, I mean, imagine the outrage if there'd been a second intelligence failure right after that one.
And now he's holding up a picture of Colin Powell briefing the UN so that we could invade Iraq.
That tragically led to even more Americans losing their lives. But you're not concerned about that. You're just concerned about this one intelligence failure. And you're upset that an administration, in its haste to get reelected, pulled some dodgy, face-saving. That's what you're afraid of. Well, I commend you for finally getting in touch with your inner outrage, because if I remember correctly, in the previous decade, it was an emotion you did not seem comfortable addressing or expressing. Like, for instance, when former Bush Homeland Security Secretary Tom Ridge said he was pressured by Ashcroft and Rumsfeld to raise the nation's terror threat level before the 2004 election to help President Bush's election chances. What'd you say about that?
Well, Tom Ridge is a good and decent man, entitled to his impressions, but they're just that. And there are some facts that stand between Tom Ridge and a smoking gun.
If former Homeland Security Chief Tom Ridge was hoping to generate buzz about his upcoming book, mission accomplished.
Oh. Zing! That's not outrage, that's snark. Snark's not outrage, silly.
So I think you're getting the point here. Selective outrage, something I have been on an active campaign against for the entire duration of this show, I think. At least, if not the entire duration, early on, I started on the campaign against this. You cannot be mad about circumstances under one administration that you were not mad about those circumstances in another, unless you're willing to admit that that's the case. Well, I liked the other administration. A person that does that gets my respect. It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? But it's because they're not trying to fool me. They're saying, look, I just don't like Democrats. Therefore, I find Benghazi repulsive and 9/11, too bad. You know, we messed up a little there. That's, if you just were honest about it, I would have respect for you. I would let you go on your tirades and destroy people on the left or destroy people on the right. Sometimes when I listen to MSNBC, I wish I could just sneak over to New York and rewind the clock about an hour to the meeting before they go on the air. And I would probably hear something like this. Whatever you got to do to tear down the right, make them all look racist, make them all look bigoted, make them all look like cronies for big business. Do that. Do that and do it very well, and bring on witnesses that will help you do that. And if you're going to bring on a counter argument, make sure they're weak. Make sure they're easy to defeat so that we can make it look like we're being fair, but really we're just bringing on a punching bag to help make our point about how strong we are in this argument. That's going on a lot. What bothers me, and this Israel thing, we're going to play a quick clip on this is what happens when you criticize Israel. I've said forever that I don't understand why we're quite so close with Israel. And I'm entirely sympathetic to the Jewish cause. And I have very close friends that are Jews. I would say that my best friend, I don't like ranking friends, but there is someone that's almost a fairy godmother that watches over my life, and she knows, I swear to God, she doesn't even live in the same state. She knows when I'm in trouble. And she just gets in touch with me. Hey, what's going on? She's Jewish. She's an adult convert to Judaism. I keep hearing this hatred against Jews, and it comes from all over the place, but mostly from Christians. And I'm going, what is this about? I don't get it. But I also don't get, on the flip side of that, why we're so close to Israel. We don't show that kind of love to the UK or Australia. I do. But we don't, as a United States government doesn't. We don't show that kind of love to any of our other allies. Why so close to Israel? I don't think I understand that. And now that I've said that, you know, the Mossad or the Masood or the Lakud or the Lakmad's going to come get me, and that's okay. God knows. I've pissed off Arabs. I've fucking attacked Scientology. You think I care? Get the fuck out of here. I'll be shot. I'll be shot in the head. I don't care. See, you think that I'm like the average person and I want to survive. Not necessarily. If I get shot in the head, I have no more back pain. So, yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. Here's what happens when you criticize Israel, though. Let's listen to what happens when you criticize.
We'll start tonight in the Middle East, where Israel...
What? Israel isn't supposed to defend itself?
Oh, yeah, if Mexico bombed Texas, will we exercise
restraint? What other country held to the same standard as Israel? People that want to destroy her terrorists? What's the matter with you? It's the only democracy in the Middle East, you turd!
Self-hating Jew?
That was weird. Anyway, what I was saying was last Thursday saw the start of a new ground offensive launched by Israel.
Tradition!
Holy Look, obviously there are many strong opinions on this issue, but just merely mentioning Israel or questioning in any way the effectiveness or humanity of Israel's policies is not the same thing as being pro-Hamas.
So you're against murdered children?
Free Gaza! Illegal Palestine! Illegal occupation!
The Zionist pig!
Why don't you shut your ass up?
You know what? Why don't we just talk about something lighter, like Ukraine?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah, so we can talk about the Ukraine, and you don't have a whole lot of voices on that. They tend to be, I don't know, scarce in the U.S. I think it's because nobody really knows what's going on over there. Remember Bosnia, Herzegovina, that whole thing? That was like what was that comparable to? I think that was comparable politically as far as American interest and knowledge went to probably Sudan. And this kind of only the elite and educated know a little about it, or the hardcore news junkie knew a little bit about it. Not that many people affected, not that many people that we know related to any of these people, therefore fuck them. Therefore fuck them. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. If you could put into 2 words, 3 words, what American sentiment was to countries and peoples they don't understand or know anything about because the media hasn't been blasting them 24/7 on their networks, it would be therefore fuck them. Because they don't, what? I don't know. What do you mean? What's Yemen, Houthi, and the blow-up fish? What is that? I don't know. That's a band. It's got the black guy that sang for him. He had the kind of a rough voice, sounded like he just woke up all the time. That's got to be Houthi and the blow-up fish. I'm not going to beat on America for that. We can't know everything that's going on in the world all the time. We can't be concerned about every human being, can we? That wouldn't be normal. It's not what everybody else in the world does. I guess we have a limited amount of empathy to dish out. Some of us have very little. Very little. Once we get done with our family, we're pretty much done empathizing. Everybody else is a fuck you. Therefore, fuck them. I think the therefore fuck them attitude for many people in America starts the moment they set their focus outside of the walls of their home. And that's a problem. And then there are the Americans that care about America. But once you set foot outside the borders of our country, therefore fuck them. That's not a good way to look at the world. Not only because everybody in America, including the Native American Indians, came from somewhere else. Native Americans got here first. But they came from somewhere else. Which means you should be able to at least use your imagination to imagine being somewhere else. Living under a different government. Living where the likelihood of you dying by gunfire is 1 in 10 and not 1 in 1,000. The whole point of this show was, if you're going to say you love the Constitution, or you're dare going to do a show about the greatness of one of its amendments, make sure you believe in the whole amendment. And if you don't believe in the whole amendment, exactly as it's written, you should probably get busy with your local representatives and try to get that amendment changed or stricken. Because to hear somebody singing, and I'm always hearing this about the First and Second Amendments, but the moment you present them with an opposing view, even if it's in line with that amendment, they suddenly disqualify that view as legitimate. That's not what I was talking about. What you want is your own Constitution, person. You want a Constitution that says, and I'll just go ahead and use a different race here just to give this context. I only want black people to be protected. I only want black people to be able to own guns. I only want black people that are Christians and male to have any power or be in the government. And I only want black people to get help for college. Once you bring white people into it, no, I don't believe in the Constitution anymore. No, I don't believe in any of the amendments or the laws that help those people. They're not like me. This thing that's an identity adherence for the average human is a natural thing when you're young. But as you grow, there is an expectation in the world that you gain intelligence, and with that intelligence invariably is going to come understanding. And with that understanding is going to come tolerance. So I don't want